Everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is my Mother Fixation LUFENIA Plus run, and this is going to be Kadaj's Lost Chapter. Very easy, I think. I'm going to just stick with maybe one very instead of two very easy varies on this easy because compared to Shiva and other LUFENIA Plus runs or missions, this one is, I think, much simpler. Here, this was a pretty sloppy run, to be honest with you. I only tried it, I think I completed it within like my second or third run anyway. Compared to like other LUFENIAs that do take a little bit more, where even starting off I should have used Setter's S2 and brought up Setzer's move in front of Ace, so that way I could have used his fixed ice or put fixed ice on all of my characters. That way Ace hits hard from the very beginning. Then I brought in, you'll see here, Sephiroth's Call, because they do cleanse their debuffs just once in the match, and that's at 49%. And so with Sephiroth, since his debuffs are gold framed, they can't cleanse that. Now I did bring in Kurasame, and I'm only going to use one of Kurasame's Call, so that way they have increased HP damage taken for like the first 50% of the HP, and then once they cleanse their debuffs, I'm going to use Kurasame's second Call to reapply that debuff to increase the amount of HP damage that they take. And then Jack's Call I'm going to save towards the last 50% as well, just because they do get a huge boost in defense. And if it wasn't for Setzer, even with all the defense downs, I mean, I wasn't really doing that much damage. So I think Setzer is or makes this super easy, especially when you pair Setzer with like Sid Reigns, for example. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also post here on the bottom right the like a little chart, and shout out to DFFOO.com. This is where you could find all this helpful information. I have a link to the website in my description, so check that out. But as you can see here, these guys end up at getting a stat boost, right? Because it is LUFENIA Plus. I think almost all bosses do at the start of the match. And then at 79%, the orb comes out. They get a stat boost, so 300% defense up, and max brave up, and brave regeneration at 79%. Then at 49%, same thing, stat boost, and then the recast gauge gets filled again, but then at 49% is when they cleanse their debuffs. And then at 29%, they do the recast gauge. They don't gain any more stats or anything like that. They don't cleanse debuffs. But you can tell the mechanic of this, it's pretty simple compared to like Shiva and other LUFENIA Plus missions. Now, one thing that I didn't do correctly here as well is I didn't really utilize the Ace's burst effect very efficiently, just because you'll see that I swap out Setzer for the twins, which wasn't a bad move, but I did not apply the fixed ice buff on everybody. So here I swap out Setzer for the twins, and for some reason I thought I had just barely used dive bomb. And normally if you're gonna swap Setzer out, I would say you want to swap him out right after he uses his LD move, because again, everybody will have a fresh set of the fixed ice, or will have a fresh fixed ice buff on them. So here, thinking that I had 6 turns of the fixed ice, because I saw the number 6 on top of Ace's head, and for some reason, I don't know why I interpret that as having 6 turns of fixed ice, which I didn't. So you'll see here, I don't do a lot of damage midway into his burst. So I only had 2 turns left at this point. So you'll see that he's hitting for like things like 400 damage when he's not hitting for with rainbow numbers there. So yeah, I didn't do that correctly, but I still completed it within the turn count. That just kind of goes to show that, you could mess up. You could definitely replace a lot of these characters with other characters and still make this work. I do think that there's quite a bit of characters that could be used. I do want to go back in here and run this with also Garnet, like Garnet and Core, and then maybe even Jet, because I just got Jet, but I might want to bring in, I might even bring in Arden, to be honest with you. I didn't pull for Arden. If you didn't see my pulls video for Jet, I do explain maybe why you shouldn't be pulling for Arden, and you should be using your resources for Jet. But I did get Arden way back when he first came out, and I got his burst, so that's the other reason I have Arden. I didn't want anybody to think that I actually used resources to pull for Arden right now. So here you'll see that even having the Twins burst effect up, Ace's burst effect up, having even on A, I have 2 of Ace's minus 40% debuffs on them. If it wasn't for the rainbow damage, I'm not really doing almost any damage to these guys. So I think Setzer is going to be a key character to bring in here, and then you can replace probably Ace and Reigns with other people or other players, to be honest with you, and people that re-break. So like Jet would be good. I don't think Lightning's good, especially with Setzer, because Lightning's going to burn right through that fixed ice buff. But anybody that re-breaks, you could also bring in here, and it'll work out. Definitely pushing those turns back. And right, the only thing you have to worry about is how you're going to block the damage from their when the recast gauge gets filled, because they're going to use Evil Eye, and it's a single brave HP attack. If it hits, it's probably most likely going to kill you. If you have Porum, you'll probably survive it, because Porum does, I think, provide last stand to the whole party. You could also potentially bring like Warrior of Light. You could bring in I don't know if it'll work here, but Cypher, because Cypher does not allow, I think, your players to receive HP damage for like 1 turn or something like that, kind of like Beatrix. So you could also bring Beatrix, potentially even Gladio, because LD I think will protect people. Galuf, yeah. So you just have to worry about either tanking that hit or just completely reducing HP damage. So even Reno might work, potentially even as a call. You put Pyramid on, and Pyramid I think doesn't allow them to gain Brave or not allow them to do HP damage. Either way, just mitigate the HP damage and you should be good. I don't think that there's anything else to honestly worry about. So besides trying to tank the hit or survive the hit, the next thing is, how are you going to do damage to these guys? Because they have an insane amount of defense. And you can see that Ace's trap, when it goes off, it's hitting for like 900 Brave with each hit. So when I don't have, like right there, it's 600 Brave damage per hit. It's not a lot. And right there's 300. So, you know, here my goal is, since I'm seeing that I'm not really doing damage with Ace, my goal is to kind of get Twins out of here. So right here, what I'm going to end up doing is, the Twins are doing okay damage, but not that great. And so what I need to do is that I need to take the Twins out of here as fast as possible, because I need to reapply Setzer's fixed dice buff on Ace. Especially since he only has about 4 turns left, and when his burst effect goes out, he's going to have that big move at the very end. So I want to make sure he's doing that when he executes that move, that he's doing it with the fixed dice buff newly applied. So here I'm going to use the Reigns' S2, bring up the Twins' turn again, and then if I would have attacked with Twins, there's a chance, or I would have most likely died. So you'll see at 49%, they cleanse B cleanses his debuff, recast gauge gets completely filled, and if I wouldn't have gone into the summon, he would have attacked and killed me, because I don't have anything to mitigate the damage. So I'm forced to use the summon at this point. Now, here goes, I use Mega Flare to just try, and again, it's probably the only move we should be using when you have friends, Twins in play anyway. Now here, A also cleanses its debuffs, recast gauge filled up. So I gotta apply or use Freeze Joker as fast as possible, so that when they do execute their moves, they don't kill me. So then here is Setzer. I'm gonna go ahead, and the first thing I do, instead of going to Freeze Joker, is I'm gonna apply the the fixed ice on everybody by using his LD, so that way I maximize the amount of damage I do during the summon, because again, I mean, your max brave goes up tremendously, and Sid Reigns can do a lot more damage as well. Here I have to use his S1 though, because I ran out of his buff, which lets him do a follow-up move when he launches. So that's the reason I didn't do any other move with Sid Reigns. I had to use S1. And then here it's just a damage race. I mean, it's kind of what this whole match has been about. But now that I have the fixed ice buff, it's just going and using everybody's most powerful moves. So here I do use Heavenly Fist. And then I do, I think, close to, it's like a mil plus. What is that? 1.2 with Sid Reigns. He makes it very easy. Cypher and Sid Reigns is just a dumb combination. It's so good. And so here I use his Ace HP attack to inflict, or to activate his trap for 6 turns, and then also keep the whole card trap or debuff on there, because each one of those debuffs is a negative 40% down. And then here you'll see that with the newly added fixed ice, you'll see that he did like 300k per enemy. So here the next move would be to use Kurasame, so that I increase the HP damage taken. And then what else? Other than that, that's it. At this point, reapplying Dive Bomb. Sid Reigns is going to take care of all the damage, and then reapplying Ace's debuffs, or his trap, and that's it. So right now that I have the Freeze Joker on there, you're going to see that it's not going to be an issue, and that's why you could replace Setzer with Porum, because Porum has Last Stand. So you're going to tank. I mean, they're going to hit you, but you'll survive. You're going to survive it. Now, if they're targeting each, if they have back-to-back turns, then that's where and they're targeting the same your character, then you would die from that. So you just have to kind of be careful for that. Maybe, you know, separate their turns a bit. But other than that, that's pretty much the match right here. I do have, I think, another Freeze Joker available. So if for some reason I mess up, I can reapply Freeze Joker again, but with Freeze Joker, literally, this fight is a joke. I do apply Jack's Call just because when I'm not hitting for rainbow numbers, you can see there, like, Ace's trap is only hitting for like 600 brave per hit. It's not that much, so bringing in Jack is helpful to increase the damage a bit, because their defenses are so high. And then with Sid Reigns doing close to, I think, a mil damage, like they're 940k. And yeah, if you have Sid Reigns, hopefully you pulled for Sid Reigns. If you didn't, you should check out my video on the banner that just came out, which has Ash, Setzer, and Balthier, and that is a must pull. Like, I would use gems on that banner, get everything on that banner for new players that might not have Ace or Bards or Garland. That banner is going to provide a little bit of everything and get you through, I would say, maybe over 80-90% of older content, just because I think the banner is that good, to be honest with you. And you have a chance of also pulling Jack's burst, which then you can go in and or go back and pull for his LD, and now you're going to have a super solid team. I think those 4 characters alone starting off is just an insane roster to have, especially Setzer. Setzer covers so many roles, and even his LD, I consider him to be like an instant breaker, although it doesn't do that. But the reason I say I consider it being that way is because he negates all defense from the enemy, and because he does that, whenever usually there's been bosses that have these huge brave gains, you're only hitting for like 1 damage, right? So you have to bring a instant breaker or some type of gravity based character, but because Setzer completely ignores all of the defense, you're gonna break him anyway, because you're always hitting for max damage when he always hits for max damage when he's using his LD. So it's kind of like, I consider that being insta break. I think when you're guaranteeing the break, you can call that almost like an instant break. But yeah, he provides that. He provides protection. He provides delaying or delay with his, I think, his S1. He batteries the party with his EX. It's just he provides he covers so many roles. So anyway, go check that out. I don't want to get into a pull video here, but check out that video if you haven't yet, especially if you're a new player to the game. And other than that, with these guys here, you can see that the LUFENIA orb is never a problem. Ace makes sure I make sure that with Ace, always keeping his trap on. The LUFENIA orb, always when they get hit goes up by 2. So LUFENIA orb is literally never a problem. Here I'm just reapplying Sephiroth's debuff on there. Didn't have to do it, but it helps. And that's it. I think that characters that you can replace Setzer with is going to be anybody that mitigates damage to you and increases damage. So for example, Porum. Porum has Last Stand. Consider that a replacement for Setzer's Freeze Joker move, or Freeze debuff. Then Porum provides huge debuffs, which I think is 80% defense down, and then also increases party's attack tremendously. Consider that a replacement for the fixed dice buff. Then you could also bring in other characters like maybe Garnet. You could bring in, or actually to replace Setzer, it wouldn't be Garnet, it would be more like Beatrix, Gladio, Warrior of Light, Galuf, things like that. Then to replace Sid Reigns, you have to bring another type of damage dealer, whether that be Core with a lot of his off-turn damage. You can bring in Jack, you can bring in Twins, you can bring in Cloud of Darkness. This might be a fight where even Arden might work, to be honest with you, because you could re-break them, things like that. So Arden could also work, Vayne can also work. And for Ace, I would replace Ace with Core, maybe even Garnet, because Garnet does have off-turn damage as well. You could replace Ace with Vayne, Cloud of Darkness, things like that. Even Auron, I think, here would do a really good job because he covers single targeted HP attacks and all that. So even Auron will work here for protection. So I might actually do that. I might actually run Auron and Garnet and see who else, maybe even Jack, but we'll see if that works. Anyways, that's it for this run. If you end up trying to complete this, good luck. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. Also, let me know in the comment section what you think about this mission and who you used to complete it. Check the links in the description for Opera Omnia websites that give you a bunch of helpful information, and I'll see you on the next one.